Hey beautiful people, your boy Kagiso M, and today I want to show you how to set up custom menus or custom shooting menu on a Canon camera. I'm going to just explain briefly why it's important or why is it good to do it. Secondly, I'm going to show you how to do it, and thirdly, I'm going to show you tips as to how to do it faster and some things to look at when you do that. So firstly, why would you want to set up these custom menus or custom shooting menus? First is speed. When you shoot, when you already have set, so on the camera that I have, which is the Canon EOS R6 Mk2, you have 3 banks: C1, C2, C3, and in fact you can actually set 6 menus because 3 will be for still side and then the other 3 will be for video side. So that's speed. So let's say you normally shoot a wedding. So in a wedding there are scenes where you will have like slow motions and you will want to shoot it in camera in slow motion rather than trying to do it in post. So C1 can be your normal 24-25p, then C2 can be your slow motion, and C3 can be your high definition. Like on this camera I have a high definition 180 or 150 frames per second. So you can set all those like that so that when you are shooting you can be faster just switching through that. Secondly, if I have set my say C1 on 25 frames per second, my shutter I can set it to 50 and leave it like that, and whenever I go to C1, my shutter will remain the same. I don't have to fiddle with camera. My ISO will remain the same. So say I was shooting 25 in the same scene and now I want to shoot 50, so I just switch or flip the switch and then onto the next bank. Then all the settings that I have done will remain. The C1 will remain with its own shutter, its own ISO. The C2 will remain with its own, so you don't have to fiddle with the camera too much. So it saves you time, it's fast, and it will eliminate pressure when you're shooting. So how do you actually go about doing this? The first thing you'll have to go into manual, or let me rather say you'll have to go to the shooting mode that you want to use. So I normally use manual. I guess most people, if you buy this camera, you'll want to use manual, but when you do something like birds photography, wildlife, you might also use other modes. So I'll put it on manual, and then on manual I'm going to do all the settings that I need to do, and I mean all of them. So say I want to shoot 4K, so I won't really go through that because we are different. You want to set it for something different, so you're going to do all your settings, and the next thing, when you are happy with your settings, you go into the menu, then okay, actually I was there, so it started there. You're going to go onto the spanner at the top. So on the camera that I have, you can either do it in 2 ways: move with your joystick, or you can actually touch the spanner. Then under the spanner you have custom shooting mode, then enter that. Okay, then the first one says register settings. Okay, then you will choose which memory bank you want to save this. So I want to save this on custom shooting mode 1. Then I'm going to say okay. Then it says register camera settings to custom shooting mode 1. Okay, then that it is done. If I go back with the menu and I go to C1, everything that I see on the screen should remain, except that it will show that it's C1 right there on the top left, where it shows like a video with a M to show that it's on video and manual. That's where it will show the custom mode. So there we are, it's there, C1, manual, and all the settings are there. And I mean all the settings, even your white balance, they will be there, and you are able to change this on the fly. So lastly, I'll show you, or I'll tell you the tips and tricks, which is when you set up this, the first thing, say you are on manual. So first decide what do you want to put on C1, on C2, and on C3. And once you have done that, most of the things will be the same. For example, if say your white balance, if you normally use Kelvin, then you put it on Kelvin. If you normally use custom, you can put it on custom, even though the custom will mean when you get to the scene you have to sort of do your custom white balance. But everything, even the layout of the screen, so if I press info, you can see my screen cycles through different things. Even the layout, you set it up and you finish. Then the next thing is I'm going to go on to saving this menu, and I'm going to choose C1. After saving this to C1, instead of me getting out of this and go and redo the settings, because I've already done everything that I want, I'm just going to say register settings. I'm going to register it on C2. Then okay, then I will also go on to C3 and register it. Then I'll go out. So the only thing that is left is, it means all my C1 to C3 are exactly the same. The only thing I would want to change is resolution and probably my frames per second. Then I'll go on to, I'll leave C1 as is. I'll go on to C2, which is exactly the same as C1. So while I'm here, I'll just change only those few things that I want them to remain on C2, and then I'll go to C3 and do the exact same thing. So you don't have to go to manual, do a few things, save it, go to manual again, change few things, then save it to C2 and do the same with C3. You all do them at once, and then once you've saved them, you only tweak a few things. Then you'll be able to save your memory banks quicker and with same settings that you like. So another thing, there is, if we go inside the menu here, there is where you can actually be able to say auto update. So what this means, auto update set, I've put mine to enable. By default it's actually disabled, but what happens is, if you change something on the fly, say you are on C1 and you change something on the fly, next time you get onto C1, it is not going to be there. So I go and enable it. Then that means whatever settings I will change when I'm on C1, C2 or C3, any of these, it will retain that setting. For me it works, but for somebody else, maybe they don't want to change that, but that's something to look at. And then another thing, when you set up these memory banks, you might also want to look into things like your shutter speed, especially when you are on video. So on video side, you're going to set up your shutter speed once and that's it. I mean, if you're shooting 25 frames per second, you're going to put your shutter on 50. Of course, for creative purposes, if you shoot other things like fast-paced action, you might want to change that. But for the majority of people, definitely if you're shooting your normal motion, you wouldn't really want to keep changing your shutter speed unless you are going to change your frames per second. So that gives you an opportunity. Like myself, I've actually moved the shutter speed on the video side. I've moved it from the front button and I've actually eliminated it. I didn't really move it, I eliminated it, and then I've put my aperture onto the front dial and my ISO on the rear dial. Then I can use the rear wheel for something else. Then that means I have one more function that I can put in, because I'm not going to need my shutter speed. I shoot 25 frames and then the shutter will be set. I shoot 50, it will be on C2, and then on C3 I have put 100 frames per second high definition, and already my shutter is on 200. So there is no way I'm going to need my shutter dial quick anywhere on set. So if I have to shoot something like a fast-paced action, then I will set that well in advance. This is your boy Kagiso M. Please consider subscribing to my channel, and also if you liked this video, you can just go, I'm out of here.